Welcome back, everybody. Today I wanted to show a little bit of gameplay from one of my previous sessions, and the barbarian was trying to do an intimidation check, and I made a few mistakes, but along the way I wanted to show just, some of the freedom that you get to use as a DM. Yes. Brandon, you made your turn to move away?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, Trent?
We're going to move up here into the middle of the room, and would it be possible for me to try to use Droop's Intimidation and Goblin Tongue to try to intimidate these guys into standing down and
Goblin Tongue,
worshipping his Goblin God? You could try it. It's worth a shot. Natural 20.
Natural 20.
Plus,
Losing the pieces, you let Charlie play with it.
plus 3 for intimidation.
Alright.
You just got
So which goblin are you actually trying to intimidate here?
I was just going to talk to all of them,
Gonna
but
try and holler at all of them?
I mean, they're all right there.
Why don't you guys play with your own toys?
He just shouts
You're
it.
too happy us to put on it.
I mean, they're all within earshot.
I don't care.
Be
One,
fury of the god's
Two,
skull.
Joey.
Droop
Stop,
says
Joey.
stop it. Stop shooting at Skull before he eats you.
Can you give it back?
Droop, not Dobby.
We don't want the baby to put that in her mouth.
Droop sound like Dobby from Harry Potter.
What do I want?
Droop says love Skull. What is
Somewhere Warner Brothers is like, copyright infringement.
What is status? I
Oh, you put away
Alright, so as he starts to shout, the two that are actually in front of the windows, they immediately get scared and they start running away. And they run off into these other rooms.
Very nice.
Now right here I did something really cool. Trent had used an NPC that they'd found and nursed back to health called Droop. He'd asked me whenever he did that if he could actually turn him into a cleric. And I said that'd be fine. But since we've already got so many people, I didn't want to add a whole nother character in. So what I told him in response to his request is that if he was going to do that, he would have to make Droop move on his turn. And if he wanted to use Droop's action, he would have to choose between his or Droop's. So since he was a barbarian, he had the choice. He could either choose to use Droop to heal party members, or he could use his own barbarian attacks to do damage. Now that in itself makes him pretty strong, but it was a lot more simplistic than, or a lot weaker than him having an entire another character throughout the entire campaign. Whenever Droop made his intimidation check, he'd scared the two of the 4 goblins that were in front of him away. And the reason why I only made it 2 of them is because they were shooting out of tiny portcullises, and since they were thick stone walls, I decided that only the 2 that were shooting were actually able to hear. So I made the other 2 stay in their own separate rooms, while the 2 that heard Droop ran away. And then later on, whenever they killed those goblins, the 2 that ran away had alerted other enemies, and those other enemies came in and fought them, while the 2 goblins that had been intimidated and ran away were in a corner pissing themselves when they found them. So there's a lot of freedom here. I mean, none of this is actually in the rule book. Well, I say none of it. None of that was actually part of the campaign. That was something special that had happened. Certain circumstances that unfolded, and I used my own discretion to decide how it actually unfolded. Now later here, I'm going to show this next part, and this is where I started to make mistakes.
Mob 2. It's still my turn. I've still got a whole nother move and a bonus action. But you never told me what happened other than those 2 ran away. That was it? Okay.
You got 2 of them, what?
Well, piss on it. If that didn't do anything, I'll use my bonus action to rage, and I'm gonna attack this one.
That was it.
He's up
You
in a
can't attack him
spot.
through the
Oh,
window.
he's a. Oh, they're up. They're up in window.
Attack him with. Don't rage. Just attack him with Droop's crossbow.
You can shoot him through the window, but it's a disadvantage on the attack roll.
Yeah.
Or spear, sword.
Why don't we just charge him?
I'm going right here.
Oh shit! What is it, dog? I forgot it's Mother's Day.
And that entrance, the double doors were broken away, so it is. I mean, you can move two people through. I was just saying, you don't have to stack them up or anything
Oh,
like
you
that.
ran through a new door. Is that gonna?
It's an open door. There's no doors there.
Oh,
Yep.
Whatever. No, I won't rage. I'll wait.
why don't you summon me?
All right, so as you enter that area,
Takes a turn.
doors stand closed to the north and south with a crumbling mound of rubble partially obscured the southern hall. To the east, a broad corridor ends in two more doors leading south and east, and the corridor is cluttered with dusty rubble and fallen plaster from a partial collapse of the ceiling overhead. So that's the rubble down there.
Is it too late to roll a perception check?
You can roll a perception check if you want.
Godzilla.
19. Alright, so as you enter in, the door straight ahead of you, you happen to see a thin copper wire on the floor.
Okay.
What plus 20 is that?
And this door directly across from me is booby trapped.
Okay, so here's the mistakes I've made. One, he used Droop to make an intimidation, which should have been an action. Two, he moved into the room. I allowed him to make a perception check. That was another action. And then after that, he still attacked and used a bonus action to cast one of Droop's spells. So, at this point in time, we're still all pretty new, and we thought once you hit level 4, actually I think it's level 5, you get an extra attack. We misunderstood that as being an extra action. So, once you hit level 5, a lot of characters get what's called an extra attack. And what that allows you to do is if you use your action to attack, you get to attack twice. If you use your action for something else, you forfeited your attack and you do not get that extra attack. And 2, you do not actually get a bonus action for every character. That is something that you get for specific spells or conditions that you have an ability that says use this as a bonus action. I do allow some of my players to use bonus actions to attack with a second one-handed melee weapon. And whenever they do that, they do not get their bonuses from it. So they don't get their proficiency bonus or their bonuses to their attack roll or their bonuses to the damage. And that's kind of how I modify it, just so they could use that as a bonus action. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. I hope you found it a little informative. And I just wanted to showcase a little bit of the freedom that you can actually do as a DM, as well as try and get some more experience trying to figure out how to actually use the editing tools. I hope everybody has a great day, and I hope you visit my channel again.